Welcome back to the Joe Miller Show, KON Hot Talk 1080 AM, 95.1 FM, broadcasting out of Anchorage. I'm remoting in from an undisclosed location somewhere outside of the United States, but I sound like I'm next door. I have online with me Christopher Kurka. Christopher Kurka is the head of Alaska Right to Life. He's fighting the good fight. He's been in the middle of a lot of battles here in Alaska despite his youthful age, knows the real deal, and one of the things that we know is that Governor Walker ain't no pro-life guy anymore. That's the assessment, is it not, Christopher Kurka?
It is. You know, I hate to say that. I'd like to see some pro-life action, but it's not there. And what we see is an effort to expand the abortion in Alaska. In fact, if I back up a little bit, about at least a month ago, I hand-delivered the Lozier Institute research paper on the Medicaid expansion and how it will increase abortion in Alaska, making a strong case for it. So he's not ignorant on the subject. It's not like we can say, oh, he doesn't know that, it's going to expand abortion. No, he does know. It's more important to him to please the left in his coalition than it is to protect innocent babies, which is his first priority, protecting the innocent.
Has he done anything that you would characterize as pro-life since he took office?
Since he took office? No, I've got nothing.
That's amazing. Now, he actually came to your organization, Alaska Right to Life, back in 2010 and asked for an endorsement. Did you guys sit down and interview him?
We did. We did an extensive interview with him as well as Governor Parnell at the time. And, we very much liked the Bill Walker we met then. He came across as a very devout Christian and, extremely devoutly pro-life. His wife was pro-life. I think that volunteered for the CPCs and was basically promised us everything that, a pro-life group would want to hear from a politician. Said everything we'd want to hear. And we came, honestly, to be real honest, I'm glad we didn't, but we came very close to endorsing him. But that race had a pro-abortion candidate for governor. I think Ralph Samuels, I think, was the candidate at the time. And so we were a little concerned about that. And of the two, the only one who had a public record was Governor Parnell, and he actually had a record of opposing the expansion of Medicaid for these very reasons. And so we ended up endorsing him instead. But we came very close to endorsing Governor Walker because of his very strong pro-life stance.
Well, and in fact, you even had in writing that stance, right? Didn't he fill out a questionnaire as well?
I have a questionnaire on file, and we'll probably end up releasing that soon. I have a questionnaire on file that has all of his statements on there.
I would assume one of those statements was that he opposed taxpayer-funded abortion.
I have to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure we had that question on that survey at the time, and yeah, he was opposed to all of it. I mean, he was right down to believing life begins at conception.
So let me ask this. I mean, have you guys directed information to his office proving that the expansion of Medicaid, which he's now done through executive action, is actually going to bring about more abortions in the state of Alaska? In other words, can he plead ignorance on this issue? No, I hand-delivered the Lozier Institute paper, I think I mentioned that a second ago, about a month ago or more. I mean, it might have been, it was he had an open office, open house that he was meeting constituents out in Palmer. And being somebody who lives in the area, I decided to take the opportunity to meet with the governor and went there in person. In fact, I believe we had it on video because I had one of our volunteers video the event. And I walked in, handed him the expansion. I said, hey, we have to oppose the expansion because of the increase in abortions. And here's the proof of it. And he thanked me for it and went on to talk to some other constituents. And that was the end of it. So he is without excuse. I mean, chances are he didn't read it, but it doesn't matter. He's without excuse. Well, this is one of the big fights in the legislature this past session, so he certainly knew about the political forces that were aligned against the expansion and why. Yes, I mean, he can't plead ignorance on the issue.
This was definitely during the special session. And we even had, there was protesters outside. He drove right by him. I saw him drive by as we were standing there protesting. With signs, saying that, the expansion would kill babies. So I'm sure at minimum he would have been piqued to read that study. And it was in the press when it came out. I think your site published it. So He's totally without excuse.
So have you talked to anybody within the administration that has proffered any type of explanation for this just, in my mind, completely inexplicable shift in favor of taxpayer-funded abortion?
I've not heard back anything from them since I delivered that paper.
Is it that he just feels so secure with this, as you put it earlier in break, deal with the devil that he made with the Democrats to get elected, that he doesn't need the pro-life vote anymore?
You know, Joe, I don't know what to say. I just know that when it comes to this issue, the left is not one to compromise, and the Republicans do. And so that's why you go back and look at this last election. You know, Byron Malott didn't shed his party registration, but Bill Walker did. Byron Malott didn't shed his position on the pro-life issue, but Bill Walker did. Byron Malott didn't shed his position on marriage and fighting for, but Bill Walker did. So, issue by issue, it's an issue of, I don't think we can look at Bill Walker anymore as a conservative governor, or as a conservative person who cares about those issues.
There's a lot of pressure put on me running up to the 2014 governor's race to endorse Bill Walker. I mean, I've known Bill for a long time, litigated with him in the Trans-Alaskan Pipeline case, always pretty cordial with him, found him to be a pretty bright guy. But he did some things after the 2010 race, and even during the context of the 2010 race, that really caused me to scratch my head about who he was. But in watching him develop his team and his support network in 2010, there were a lot of real conservatives fighting for him. I mean, didn't he kind of build his base of political support on the backs of conservatives, pro-life voters in the state?
Absolutely. I have friends and family who have been supportive of him, and been big fans of his. And I know people personally who were very involved in his 2010 network. People who were devoutly pro-life, and part of their support of him was they thought he would be a better pro-life governor than Parnell, and better on all the issues that they cared about. And the governor we see today is totally different than the governor that was running for office in 2010, using these conservative pro-life activists to advance his cause. Totally different. It's really disturbing. Because you do have to question. Like I think you mentioned, you do have to question when somebody's running for office. What are their convictions? What is their record? Are these platitudes that they're saying to just get my support because they care about getting elected and that's all they care about? And it comes down to an issue of our side has to get off the couch and decide that there's a war going on out there for our country and for our children and our grandchildren. And the other side is uncompromising, unflinching, and continuing to come like a battering ram. And, we go out for one election cycle, get excited, we fight a little bit, and then we go home and go back to our busy lives. And part of it is we have families that we have to care for that are, it's a priority and it's important. But at the same time, we have to defend those families. We have to defend our rights. We have to defend the freeborn.
It's interesting because, I was just talking this segment before you got on with Sharon Angle, and even the guest before that, about this Donald Trump phenomenon. He's saying great things. In fact, I applaud what he's doing to the race because he's forcing these issues that need to be discussed to the forefront, and he's doing an exceptional job in that. But the problem is you're dealing with somebody with past acts that don't measure up to what he's saying today. And the question arises, is he lying to get support, or is he just unstable in his political views? And I don't mean unstable in a bad way. I'm just saying lack of foundation. And that's the problem that I think we're faced with Bill Walker. I mean, I don't necessarily think that he was lying to people in 2010. I just think he's unstable in his foundation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Trump's a perfect example. If people really want a good read on Trump, I would go read Matt Walsh's most recent blog post on that. I think that lays it out.
Oh, that's hot. Yeah, Breitbart put it up. Oh, my word. Yeah, you can't read that and walk away and say that Donald Trump is a guy you ought to be supporting for president. And again, let me make this clear to everybody. I mean, I love what he's saying, and I will continue to applaud his loud mouth because it's things that everybody else ought to be talking about. But the problem is the same problem that we're dealing with Governor Bill Walker. And here we elected this guy that a lot of people thought were pro-life based upon what he said, but he had no record. Here with Donald Trump, I mean, this rhetoric problem is a problem every election. With Donald Trump, we've got a record, folks. Look at his past donation history. I mean, it's checkered at best. It's pathetic at worst. I mean, he supported Rahm Emanuel for governor in Chicago, $100,000 to Clinton Foundation, direct donations to Hillary Clinton campaigns. And this is not the type of guy that's going to go out there and really shake things up necessarily. He may, who knows, maybe with the power, but we can't take that kind of gamble. We can't do that. But, we're faced with that, Christopher, with all the other candidates, too, for the most part. There are very few that really have records of action that are running right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know it. Politicians like to talk a good game and get support, but never do anything. And so that brings us to the next point: is how do we get these guys off their butts who like to talk a good game but not do anything? We talked about the legislature being spineless. Right now on Alaska Right to Life's website, it's alaskarighttolife.org. We have a petition circulating, and we're asking, the legislature, the governor, to cease and desist this expansion. And we can stop this. If you put enough pressure on the legislature, they will be more afraid of you than they will of the left. But right now, the left is putting more pressure on them. And we have to turn up the heat. We have to put more pressure than the left. We have to make them afraid of losing their next elections, if they don't stop this. Because we're talking about a massive expansion in Medicaid, a horrible program, Medicaid, and we're talking the worst of it. We're talking about, like you said, conservative numbers, 37% increase in abortions. We're talking about 500 more lives.
Yep, at least.
Ripped apart their microphones next year.
Christopher Kurka, head of Alaska Right to Life, call to action. Go to the website, sign the petition, put the pressure on this governor. We got to reverse it. Stay with us, The Joe Miller Show. Be right back with you after this.